welcome back to Horror Channel.
Oh, thank you for having us.
The pleasure is always ours. How did Rabid come about?
You know, Rabid, we got a blind email and it was like 3 sentences long. Would you like to remake David Cronenberg's Rabid? And of course the answer was yes. He's one of our greatest influences. I mean, he's the king of Canada. He's the lord of body horror.
Let me look at you. Wow.
It's incredible. It's like the accident never even happened.
No, it's not like it never happened.
I've been having vivid nightmares. Why am I dreaming about drinking blood?
Rabid is about a woman named Rose, and she's a fashion designer, an aspiring one, and she gets into this horrible accident that leaves her disfigured. And then she has an opportunity from a miraculous clinic called the Rose Clinic to be healed with an experimental procedure, which ends up turning her into something she wasn't quite expecting.
Where can I take you, Rose?
Nowhere.
Ow!
Do this for you. There are 2 golden rules to a remake. Add something new and you're gonna have to bleep me. Don't the original. No, it's absolutely true. You need to pay, proper tribute to the original creator and the original piece.
Just had reconstructive surgery. You can't take your bandages off just yet.
Rose! I want you into work on time.
I just don't get Rose. She's so weird and sad. Did you ask Brad to bring me here?
Can I get you a drink?
Who told you? I'm so humiliated. Why would you do this to me?
Schadenfreude, the pleasure derived from someone else's misfortune.
I want you to keep in mind that this is going to be a process. Not to worry. With the proper diet, you'll be able to live a perfectly normal life.
Stem cell manipulation is the key to life. They are already being sold to the most wealthy.
Let me look at you. Wow.
It's incredible. It's like the accident never even happened.
No, it's not like it never happened.
I've been having vivid nightmares. Why am I dreaming about drinking blood?
Well, people that dream about drinking blood often have unfulfilled yearnings. It's tied to the guilt of desire.
Where can I take you, Rose?
Nowhere.
Ow!
Do this for you.
Went insane and bit me.
An outbreak of rabies. Avoid all animals and humans exhibiting violent or erratic behavior.
It spreads like an STD. If we do not stop it, it could affect all of mankind.
What the fuck?
How's your appetite?
I can't say the C word, probably, in this interview. Please don't. Can I? But he is. I like to say that this is the greatest audience in the world because they're film goers and they're horror fans and they've seen Martyrs and every obscure thing that I can throw at them. And they'll come and talk to you about the film. I like to actually sneak into the bathroom and listen to the bathroom reviews.
I'm always the person in the other stall, though. I'm the one that someone's talking shit about, like,
well, we thought it was funny because, you know, so often drug use is glamorized, especially cocaine, and I've worked in film enough to see it destroy so many people's lives, especially people with so much potential, so we wanted to show it negatively. We wanted to show how vicious people were, because David's movie dealt with sexual viruses, but ours deals with the virus of the mind, where everybody seems to be so angry and so cruel to each other. Everyone's already acting rabid. You don't even know there's something wrong until they're ripping someone's face off, because it's like, we're so used to the cruelty.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted, American Mary was a very sad, tense film. I wanted this to be a very frustrating film, because when you're frustrated and angry, anger is actually the emotion to alert you to injustice when it's used properly. So I wanted people to be roused to movement. I wanted people to be so frustrated by a lot of the things that happened in the film that they left not wanting that to be society, because we have taken a little snapshot, although I like to joke that we created a fantasy world where everyone treats each other like shit for really no reason. We are getting to that place very, very quickly, and I want to change the path before we get too far down.
And there are so many genius things that David put in there. One thing that I'll spoil, that's not a spoiler, but when you see the movie it will totally be, is the original had Marilyn Chambers, who was an adult film star, and everybody kept being like, oh my god, it's sex, 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 sex. But he put pornographic imagery in there when it was underneath the armpit, it was a butthole, and there's actually a finger poking it. He put pornographic imagery in a movie, and everyone was talking about the porn star and boobs, which you see in movies, that you didn't even look at it. So there was a very Giger-esque appendage prosthetic of some sort in some variety. Not saying that we did the armpit thing, because, you know, who would be crazy enough to do something like that? We had Masters Effects create this rose coming out of a rose, but, you know, when everything's flesh colored, everyone's like, oh, hee, does that look like? And yeah, I had to make a better NC-17 image. It's there.
One day I'm gonna make a comfortable film. I just don't know when.
I thought this is a romantic comedy, depending on your sense of humor. I don't know, Dr. Burroughs is so devoted to his wife. I mean, he looks at Brad and he's like, you got things to learn, buddy. I can tell you about commitment. And then Brad's like, whoa, that level of commitment is not, I don't even know how to tell this girl I like her until it's too late. It's just, but it's all about judging people on surface value. I mean, you meet Gunter, who's played by the incredibly talented Mackenzie Gray, and you're like, oh, shady Eastern European. But if you know Eastern Europeans, no, he's being lovely. Look at the attention he's giving you. He makes fun of everybody, and he's like, ha ha ha, it's just a joke between us. You have a scar, I have a scar. And meanwhile, she's like, I have a scar, everyone hates me. And it's like, open your fucking eyes, look around. This is a world you're living in.
Yeah, it's very much from the female perspective, but the thing is, every one of those men, like Dr. Burroughs, they think they're the hero in the story. Yeah. Even Brad's just trying to help. He's just being a good guy. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where a man has made a decision, like a life decision for me, to protect me and not involved me in it, and then been like, no, but I did this for you, you stupid bitch. Why are you mad at me? And I'm like, when did I ask you? Why didn't you ask me? And it's like, but you're just a sweet thing. You couldn't do it on your own. You couldn't handle this thought and these decisions. I also love that it's revenge porn in a little way, like especially CM Punk. He's like the sweetest, most angelic man there is. And every one of the guys that plays really nasty is actually a real sweetheart. Stephen Hazar, who is Dominic Danvers, he usually does Hallmark movies.
Yeah, I think we ruined that for him for a few years
That was my dream. He's a fellow Hungarian like me, so we were fast friends as soon as we met. And, you know, we wanted to switch around the genders. Of course, he was our beautiful, sexy blonde, but he was just a piece of shit, like everybody else. And I also like to point out that actors feign human emotion. So when he first sees Rose, he's very charming, he's very almost like innocent, but then you realize I can't say the C word probably in this interview.
Please don't.
Can I? But he's just an absolute little shit, and you don't even realize how bad he is until you see him later. I've walked down the street and been followed by a CM Punk-like person so many times.
Every girl has had that experience.
And there's women to the left of me just looking at me like, I'm so sorry, I wish it wasn't happening. And then there's men who are just like not even there.
But there's a lot of humor with it. Like when Rose goes to the pool, it's so disturbing, and he's like, gosh, she's hot, so who cares? Even when she shows up behind CM Punk by his car, he's like, oh, you scared me. oh, pretty hot though. Like, there was even a point where she's like screaming bloody murder, and you're like, okay. And there's a guy like, hey, miss, can I just tell you, you shouldn't be. And it's like, dude, whatever happens to you, you totally deserve it. I mean, you walked right into it. I mean,
that guy is not a nice guy, though. That's the nice guy. I'm just here to help you. I'm following you into a dark corner in a little sweet voice, but that's not something a normal person does.
that was definitely Dead Ringers. That was all David, because he had them dressed, and those had Morgan Tree Newson, who was our customer, recreate those outfits like exactly, because he wanted them to be dressed like almost like a church. And a lot of these doctors think they're God. Dr. Burroughs definitely thinks he's godlike with what he's been doing in there. And
if there was a God, Dr. Burroughs would think he's more intelligent, absolutely.
Yeah. He would. And it's weird how they even move. And I remember when we were doing this scene and everyone's like, this is weird. This isn't like a surgery. And a lot of people, even when we were talking to Claude Fossey, who is our wonderful composer, and we were like, we made this song. And he was like, that's just a very strong choice. And we're like, yeah, Dr. Burroughs is not a subtle man. And we don't actually tell you anything about that character. You have to look around and keep your ears open to be like, oh, okay, oh, all right, well, I guess that's him.
It's because he believes he has no intellectual equal, so why would he share his thoughts with someone that's so below him?
Well, he's also gaslighting Rose the whole time. There's this great scene where they go, dreams, 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 and she's like, yeah, when will these nightmares? And he's like, hallucinations, and she's like, and she doesn't even, like, not at one point, but that's the thing, you trust your doctor. You go fully willingly into everything, and I think that's a huge downfall of the medical profession, is that we trust people to cure us and to have our better interests when they're human and fallible, just like everyone else. Pulling back on the jaw prosthetic, definitely. Well, when we take a lot of the stuff that we're going through and put in our movies. My cat got cancer right before, and he was misdiagnosed, and then he needed a partial mandibulectomy, which, if you've ever had something that you love have to be changed from gorgeousness to a different type of aesthetic, it's terrifying. The slurry scene, that's my kitty, that's Logan, that's how he had to eat, and I wanted to give that experience. I like putting horror in movies because when I experience it and I haven't seen it in a movie, it just gives me a real gut punch, and I'm like, whoa. But that, I was like, we have to show that kind of imagery because not everybody is gorgeous. Gorgeousness is unachievable. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I don't know if you've ever read Chuck Palahniuk's Invisible Monsters, but it's about a supermodel that loses her jaw, and there's huge references to that movie all throughout Rabbit, and I thought it would be so great to remove her jaw. And then Masters of X is like, I love where your heart is, and I love all of that, and VFX and the fake head and everything. What if this? And everyone was like, oh, that's horrible. And I was like, it's so beautiful. I don't know if it's going to have the effect, but I guess from your reaction, it had the effect.
Yeah, it was very important for us to make things that are traditionally ugly and make them beautiful. When we were pitching American Mary originally, they looked at the clitorectomy scene and said, you can't even show this. Like, what are you talking about? And I said, it's going to be shot beautifully. It's going to be like art. And they're like, how are you going to do that? If anything, I wish I had a bigger budget so I could have done bigger. In the final room, I wish that it was all-encompassing in the room. I wish that we had a little bit more growth. What we did have, I thought was magnificent. There were two huge stunts that I had to take out of the film that I lament. There was going to be a car accident we were going to show, and it was going to be crash times 1,000. It was going to be the sexiest car crash, even though it's such a horrible image, but it would be so sexualized because it would be for David. It would be like our little, like, here.
You gotta play with taboos. You can't just go mainstream. You gotta mess with it.
And the one actor who plays Trent, who gets bitten by Dominic and smashes his face into a window, originally he was going to, and he's one of the greatest stunt guys in the world, Joel LaBelle, and he's such a fantastic gentleman. I got him because I needed someone who could act, somebody who had 100% confidence with his body, and somebody who could fall out of a 40-story window in one camera movement without immediate injury. Unfortunately, we weren't going to do it, but we didn't get
Now
to do
every
it.
time anyone sees us working with Laura and Joel, they're going to be like, is that guy going to fall out 40 stories? Because we know the twins want to throw him out a window.
Yeah, we were going to throw him out the window and we had a rig where we were going to take and travel him down, so the camera was going to move kind of like in The Raid 2. It was going to be magnificent. But then, you know, at a certain point, it's under 10 seconds of the movie compared to the budget, and, you know, you just got to pay for things that last longer in the movie.
We've been in a committed relationship with
Masters
Masters
Effects
since American Mary. They're the people who did 6 Feet Under. Right now they're giving Nightmares from Handmaid's Tale. And so the fact that we got dinged, they were so happy about it. They got us suspended off Twitter almost permanently because of that image. And I was like, damn, that was on the cover of Fangoria and Rue Morgue, and now it's too inappropriate. And then the next day, Twitter is supporting the gory trailer for it, and I'm like, I feel like I was just uninvited to the party, actually. My biggest thing, and I'm so glad you asked that, is as a kindness to all the people that we've lost, everybody who's died, all the land that's gone, all the wars, is stop fighting right now. We need transparency between our governments, and we need to talk to one another, because as long as the media manipulates everything, since it was newspaper and radio, you're not getting the opportunity for critical thought. We need to think, and we need to be a lot nicer to one another. And if we go into situations with love, we're gonna get a lot better than, you know, killing the other poor person who just thinks the little bit differently than us. I mean, like, even a broken clock is right twice a day, you know.
I'd like to see the elimination of the class system. I mean, you see that in the fashion industry that we touch on. You see it in the medical field. You see transhumanism happening where they're making half human, half sheep hybrids. And it's because assholes like Rupert Murdoch are on their, like, what, 8th child hard, and just us poor people are going to get half sheep organs in hopes that, hey, we have no experimentation if you're going to live, but here's a sheep lung because you're just not worth a full human. You're half rights. It just seems absolutely disgusting to me, especially in our film industry. I don't know how someone can justify doing 3 weeks of work and then becoming a millionaire and thinking somehow they deserve that. I think it's insane, and I'd love to see the bottom stop fighting. We're fighting over fucking scraps. Look up. Look up at the people who are leading us. Look in their faces. These are not the people we should be listening to. The people that we worship are just the result of clever marketing campaigns. If I could teach or give anyone a little piece of advice, think for yourself. Look at both sides of the argument. Don't just shout them down. Be educated and fight the real enemy. Don't just sit there and kick the shit out of each other.
How Sinead O'Connor of you.
We need to unite. If I had a picture of, you know,
Jeffrey Epstein, just rip it for the camera.
I don't even know. It would just be a picture of the cabal. Just destroy the elite system that runs the world.